Hey, everybody, welcome back to Adobe Live. If you're joining us from the previous stream, thanks for sticking around. If you're tuning in for the first time right now, welcome aboard. We're really pleased to have Brady with us today. We're going to be building a sports team from scratch in Firefly Boards. Brady Patterson is a graphic designer and the founder of Distract Studio. With expertise in branding and creative strategy, his work spans across multiple industries, including sports, entertainment, and tech. We'll take a look at his Instagram in just a little bit. But first, I just want to say, hey, and good morning. How's it going?
Hey, thank you guys so much for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you on. You're joining us from Austin, Texas, right?
Austin, Texas, that's right. It is
Yeah.
it is the one week of the year that it's cold here.
Hey, at least it's seasonal for you, right?
That's true. That's
Well,
true.
we're excited to hop into it. If you guys have questions for Brady as we are tackling stuff, please let us know. Jacob Paris is already in the chat saying Brady is the GOAT. So if you guys
Hey,
have
shout out to
questions,
Jacob.
comments, anything on the in between, please let us know. Can you let us know what we're working on today?
Yeah, so we're going to be building a sports identity from scratch. So I've set up a full brand strategy to walk through everything from the mood board to our color palette to our logo designs, and then we'll build some uniforms and brand concepts.
Yeah. All right. Well, if it's okay with you, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to share your screen so we can take a look at what you're looking at. And what do we got here? It looks like we are in Firefly Boards, right?
Yeah, so I have been experimenting with Firefly boards to basically come up with a way to kind of mood board and come in with clients to kind of work together to build out a brand identity from scratch. And
Okay.
so, yeah, I put together a 8-step process today that we're going to walk through. We're going to crowdsource some ideas from the chat, and we're going to come up with a brand from scratch.
All right. That means we're looking at you, Bree. We're looking at you, Sandra. We're looking at you, Jacob, to help us out with being able to get some of this stuff prompted and figured out. For anyone who is meeting you for the first time, do you want to give a little bit of background as to your experience with sports and why you're interested in like sports design?
Yeah, so I grew up as an athlete. Anybody that met me at Adobe Max knows I'm very tall. So I grew up playing basketball, football, and baseball.
Wait,
And
how
my
tall are you?
love, I'm 6'5".
Oh my gosh! So like when I'm interviewing, I should just like be down here so that it feels a little bit more accurate.
Yeah, I gotta like put my head halfway out of the frame or something. But
Also,
yeah,
hello to Jacob Phillips. And so you've always been playing sports. What's your favorite sport?
so growing up, I was always a bigger basketball fan, but I
Hmm.
was actually better at football. And
Okay.
so yeah, I love all sports though. I still follow them deeply and kind of got my start working with AU basketball teams, like uploading projects on Behance when I first started in graphic design. And then I got an internship with the 49ers and became lead designer for USC Athletics, working with all of their sports programs. So everything from swimming to football, basketball, baseball, all of that. And so,
Wow,
yeah, I've
that's
been
really cool.
tinkering with sports design since I was a kid. I was always drawing sports logos on my desk growing up, getting in trouble for it. And so this has always
But
been a
sports
passion of mine.
agnostic at least, so it doesn't matter which it is necessarily in particular. It can just be kind of any sports direction grabs your attention. Um, and I think they all have different languages, but they also always share a universal language. Like obviously, the way that you're going to approach hockey might be a little bit different than like badminton, but I think there is kind of still this overarching theme of style and expression. But it looks like you said we have an 8-step program set up here with the brand design playbook and on today's stream. Do you just want to walk us through real quick what this looks like and how we're going to start from scratch?
Yeah, so we'll start out by kind of understanding what the strategy is going to be. So setting a goal. Our goal is to build a sports identity that represents the heart, culture, and pride of the city. And then I have a set of questions that I'm going to ask, and we'll come up with some name ideas. And then I have generated a few different mood board concepts. Now, we thought Kieran was going to be here today, and his favorite sport was soccer. And so these mood boards are a little more focused on the soccer side, but we're going to roll with the punches today. We're going to let you guys choose what sport we do. And from there, we'll choose some color palettes, and then I have generated a number of different styles of logos and taken some from Adobe Stock that we can use to generate our first logo. And then we'll choose our word mark and then put those together for a primary and secondary logo, create a brand pattern, and then generate some uniforms and do some brand mockups.
All right, so then I will get us started with a poll in the chat with which sport we should design. I'm going to put up soccer, basketball, baseball. Do you have one more idea of another sport that you would maybe be interested in checking out? Maybe hockey or?
Yeah, let's do hockey.
All right, let's do hockey. All right, so I'm going to put that up in the YouTube chat for you guys. If you're over on Behance, make sure you hop over to the YouTube stream real quick just so you can go ahead and you can vote. But then you can pick out which one we're going to have here. Um, looks like already we're going to see as the votes come in. I know what I'm gonna. You know what? Maybe I should go on my phone. I can rig the vote myself because I know what I'm gonna vote for. But we'll have to see. So far, hockey has the most votes, but I don't want to call it off quite yet.
Okay,
Um,
I like it.
now, do you have any inspiration specifically from any teams that you really like the design of?
On the hockey side,
Oh, just on any team, really. Like, where do you find your most inspiration?
yeah, so obviously I worked for the 49ers, so I am partial to their design style. I love the gold and red uniform designs that
Uh-huh.
they have. Love the black uniform they came out with this year. It is perfection.
Dark mode.
Um, Yeah, dark mode is always that's my thing. I love everything is black backgrounds for me. I'm also a huge Laker fan. I grew up in Ohio, so anything that has to do with LeBron, I'm gonna be partial to as well. So I love the gold and purple from the Lakers, also the gold and maroon from the Cavs. Very close to where I grew up in Ohio. So those are kind of my favorites.
Great. I'm going to also go ahead and while we're waiting for that to populate, I've got your Instagram pulled up here. We have designed by Brady, and it's got a bunch of your recent posts here with both your pin posts that are a little bit more about kind of yourself as a designer, but then you also have standout health and wellness fonts, streetwear fashion. How do you approach social media for your own brand?
Yeah, so I my social media really started popping off when I started focusing on sports fonts, actually. So
Yeah.
I was posting about a little bit of everything, website design, graphic design. And then when I started to niche down and focus back into sports, that's when I really started to gain a following. And
Yeah.
so some of my most recent posts, actually, I've generated my um, font photos. I generated package designs in Adobe Firefly that represent each one of the fonts. And so I'm finding new ways to kind of spice it up and do new things with AI and use the Adobe products to make my content even more engaging.
Oh, that's great. I know that on File New, the other show that I have on Adobe Live, we do font of the week each week, and we're always looking at Adobe fonts. So it's excited to see some of these ones that I'm not as familiar with, but they're cool to have some great Adobe fonts for designers that you kind of picked out and have your creation and your process to it, which is really nice to see.
Yeah, I'm a font fiend. Half of the RAM on my computer is taken up by just font files. So
By having to flip through everything. That's great. All right. So I don't want to eat up too much of our time as we're waiting to vote for things. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to end this poll and let's do basketball as the
okay.
winner here with let's see, 43% of the vote, which is exciting.
Oh wow,
Um,
I like it.
so you got your wish. I know you're saying you're a Lakers fan, but we'll see where this takes us, right?
Awesome. Well, let's move into the next thing, which is choosing what city or neighborhood we're going to be representing. And so,
Ooh,
in order to build a brand identity, we kind of have to figure out exactly what the vibrance and the essence of the community we're building the team in. One of
yeah,
my pet peeves is that some of the NBA teams have moved around, and so you end up with like the Utah Jazz, which there's nothing jazzy about Utah at all. They were
Right.
the New Orleans Jazz and they
Which
moved
made
away.
sense.
Yeah. And so the name doesn't really make sense or match the city at all, even though they feature mountains and they bring it into the brand identity, but the overall naming and concept has always felt off to me. So I want to make sure that we brand the entire identity around a city and it actually represents that city.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, that sounds great. Do you have any cities in mind that you would like to kind of explore?
Yeah, so what I was going to do, since I've never met Kieran before and he's from somewhere in London, I was going to choose the neighborhood that he lives in and
Right.
brand it around that. But since you're from Brooklyn and I guess Baltimore doesn't have a professional sports team
No,
or a professional
not for
basketball
basketball at
team, at
least. It's been a
least.
long time since they have.
Yeah, I think they were the Baltimore Bullets
They were Baltimore
back in the
Bullets, and then
day.
they moved away to be the Wizards, right?
Yeah.
So, it's all right. It's fine.
Awesome. So let's choose Baltimore.
All right,
Let's
that
we're
sounds good.
bringing this we're bringing basketball back to Baltimore, the DMV area. The Wizards have been terrible forever, so we're bringing some new energy into the city. And
Right.
so I've actually been to Baltimore one time. I visited the Under Armour campus out there, but I was only there for a day, so I know nothing about Baltimore. So I'm gonna lean on you to
Recording in
let me
progress.
know all everything about Baltimore. What are the symbols, the animals, the landmarks, or the cultural references that we can kind of pull from to create an identity here?
Right. Okay. Well, obviously it's Charm City, I know. It
Ooh,
was
Charm City.
definitely used to be known for different industry. Like it used to be an umbrella capital of the world, which is weird. Um, what else? Edgar Allan Poe is also part of it. But then again, it's
Uh,
like four different cities, all are focused on the idea that Edgar Allan Poe is from it. You know what I mean? So it's like who actually gets to own Edgar Allan Poe? Um, then we also have um, the flower, which is the state flower. What is the state flower? Black-eyed Susan. Um, what else is hot with Baltimore?
you guys
Crabs.
got crabs, of course. Is
It's
there
a
a
big
specific type of crab that's from
blue
Baltimore?
crab.
Blue crab.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Jenna is in the chat saying Hun, which is also yes, Huns are very much a Baltimore thing. They're like if you think of like Hairspray the musical, um,
Yeah.
you have people with the big beehives and stuff, um,
Is
which
it
is funny.
Hun?
Hon.
Hon. Yeah, so I'm actually liking Charm City. That sounds like a good alternate jersey. But
Yep.
I'm really you guys already have the Baltimore Ravens, and so we can't
Yes.
go with anything that's related to Edgar Allan Poe. So I'm thinking we go with the Baltimore Blue Crabs.
Okay, I'm here for that.
Yeah, I like that. Um, in about the city, how would you define the city? Like, is it traditional and refined, or a little bit more modern and playful?
I would, yeah. So Jenna is in the chat saying working class. So it definitely is a city that had a big population decline after industry left. But then
Mm.
because of that, it's become a really cool artsy and like uh, uh, eclectic style. Um, it is very quirky. It's very um, like I feel like tacky is a bad word, but it's like almost like owned tackiness.
Yeah.
Um, like where you have like aluminum Christmas trees at Christmas time, um, and like pink flamingos everywhere. Um, so I don't know. It's does that feel like that lands it well?
Yeah, I think I mean just from my experience being in Baltimore, I was right downtown, so I was
Yeah,
like
yeah,
seeing all the old brick buildings, and it definitely felt more traditional.
yeah,
There was a kind of a nostalgic feel to the downtown area right by the water. And
yeah.
so I think the energy, um, would it be right to call it kind of a gritty, blue collar city?
Absolutely. All right, I want to make sure I don't want to neglect our YouTube friends over here. Yeah, we're seeing gritty. Um, Jacob saying blue crabs is hilarious. Darian saying soulful.
Oh,
Among a bunch of other
soulful.
stuff. Also, home of John Waters, says Jenna. Um, so lots of cool stuff there.
Okay, we got some Baltimore people in the chat,
Yeah,
apparently.
I know. It makes me so happy. I was like, I didn't realize we had such a Baltimore crew in tow with us today.
Awesome. So let's choose the Baltimore Blue Crabs. I feel like you guys are going to be rivals with the Pelicans. Pelicans are always attacking the crabs.
Oh yeah, you know what? That's kind of genius. Just the idea of like kind of matching up different rivals just based off of mascots alone, right?
Right. So the next step in our process is to kind of build out a mood board. And so I had initially built these out for like a soccer team. And so we're going
Hmm.
to take these and kind of generate a brand new board that represents Baltimore. And
Okay.
so I came up with a couple different visual directions, and I generated this entirely in Firefly. And so I just told it to give me a mood board with 10 different images that um, represented these different personas. And so
Okay.
this was the luxurious persona. I'm not getting Baltimore from this mood board. And
No.
so the second one is kind of your blue collar persona. This feels a little bit more like Baltimore to me.
Yeah.
Um, it feels very much we're getting Pittsburgh Steeler vibes from this. I
Yep.
grew up in Ohio, so the Cleveland Browns and Cincinnati Bengals are very are branded in this type of style.
Yeah.
And then our third would be like your storied franchise persona. I'm not getting Baltimore from this either. This is very
Right.
like London, Euro, Premier League type of branding.
Which I feel
And
though,
then,
honestly though, for that one, like I feel there is a universe where Baltimore could have like a heritage just because there is a lot of
mm,
history. I don't think that it's the go-to for anything else. Like, the Orioles, the Ravens, the Baltimore Blast, like none of
yeah,
them necessarily really lean into heritage. But the one cool thing, I mean, one of many cool things about Baltimore is just that it is really rich in history and it was at one point like potentially going to be the nation's capital and like um I'd say that always is one part that I found interesting, but I agree with you that it necessarily isn't what people think of when they think of the city, which is like then you kind of have that conflict of like, do you want to make what everyone thinks of it as, or do you want to be like the leader and like trying to shape an image? Because you can fail miserably at that, or you could,
yeah.
shape the conversation.
I actually did not know that it was going to be the capital. That's crazy.
I mean, there were like four different ones that were going to be the capital. I think Philadelphia was also going to be the capital. So a bunch of other, you know. But hey, we'll
Yeah,
take it.
I've heard that about Philly, but never
Yeah,
about Baltimore.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, and then our fourth option here would be kind of your bright, youthful persona. And this kind of reminds me of like the Miami FC. They wear very bright pink and have a very youthful flamingo brand identity that kind of
Yeah.
represents the city. So I don't think this one's quite right either. So
That
what
one
we're
could be a
gonna
little
do
right.
here,
There is like Jenna saying in the chat, the Domino Sugar
hmm,
Factory. They have a gigantic neon sign on the inner harbor, which is fun.
oh, really?
Um, and I also feel like sometimes the Ravens, although a lot of times they lean into the dark vibe, like we were talking about with you, with like black and
Yeah.
shadows. I think that sometimes they really do vibrance. But I think out of the four, I do agree with you that probably visual direction number two. Is that the one you were kind of feeling towards too, the blue collar persona?
Yeah, I think it's not exactly right, but we're going to kind of take this and refine it a little bit so we can get something a little bit closer to what Baltimore really represents.
Yeah.
And so what I can do here is use this as a reference image. And then we're going to actually, let me see if I can load my prompt that I was using in here before. And so this is kind of how I was creating these mood boards. I said, create a mood board of at least 10 images for a professional soccer team. We're going to need to change that to basketball team. And then this visual direction is for, and I wrote out basically the persona at the top. And so we're going to need to change this just a little bit. So instead of saying blue collar persona, we're going to say the city of Baltimore. And then in our terms here, next I wrote the team can be described as gritty, grounded, loyal, bold, and tough. We'll keep some of these, but I think there's a heritage play that you mentioned
Yeah.
that can be included. And then um, what would you say about the domino neon sign? Would you say that that kind of represents Baltimore a little bit as well?
Yeah, I
The
could say
youthful,
the Inner Harbor, bright neon. It used to be the neon capital of the world, actually, like the
really?
early 1900s. Um, and then there was like a law that was passed, and it switched up, and then now there's like less neon. But apparently the roads used to be lit with neon. Um, it's got a lot of brick. There's so much brick in Baltimore.
Yeah, there
It's
is a
like
ton
everything's
of
made out of
brick.
brick. Don't know why.
Yeah. All
Um,
the buildings downtown I saw were like massive brick buildings.
Yep. A lot of infrastructure was also built in the 80s, I think, when they were trying to revitalize the city. And then
Mm.
now a lot of it hasn't been touched since the 80s. Um, so that's interesting to kind of attribute to the aesthetic. Lucario's over on YouTube saying, I've been waiting for something like this. He does esports, which, yes, I think also can fall into a similar vein too, where it's like, traditionally, maybe 15 years ago, you wouldn't think of branding an esports league in the same way that you would a professional sports team. But now, I mean, they're selling out stadiums and having similar aesthetics in, video game tournaments.
Yeah, honestly, the some of the e-gaming companies have some of the best sports branding because they're constantly refreshing it. And there's a there's a whole rabbit hole you can dive in on Pinterest or any of these tools for esports
Of
um,
course.
logos and brand identities. And so now I'm gonna just add um, some keywords in here. So we're gonna add the blue crab. Um, we have the rivers that go through. We're probably looking at some like bold or maybe a heritage style typography. Yeah, let's see what this comes up with.
And
So
here we're
typically what
using
I
Gemini 3, right? With Nano Banana Pro.
yeah,
You can switch between the partner models that you want, but this is the one that you're kind of using. And then as your image source, you have the ability to kind of develop this grid style, right?
yeah, and so just from referencing this, it actually came up with it on its own without a reference image first. And so I like to do it a couple different times. So I do it with the reference image and then do it without.
Oh,
And
and to see
then,
where it gets you.
yeah, just to see where it gets me. And then I usually hit enhance prompt and try it again. So this will rewrite your prompt from scratch um, using best practices. Let's also let's also use this one as a reference image and just see what we get here. Because honestly, you never know. Sometimes you gotta try it a couple times. Kind of like this. This is
I mean, but
cool.
that's kind of what the beauty of it too is you kind of have to roll with the punches.
Yeah, so we're playing
Oh, it's cool that it's
basketball
already
outdoors here.
creating some cool stuff here.
Yeah, these are
And I
nice.
like the steel too. It's not necessarily the steel as much as like Pittsburgh, but there definitely was along the. Oh, look at that Baltimore brick with the neon sign. Wow, that's so. And the Inner
Yeah.
Harbor. Wow, this is like so much more accurate than I was already kind of anticipating, which is incredible.
I love when they do. I got this a couple times where they do like the kind of taped mood board or
Mm-hmm.
like a cork board behind it.
Yeah, that's fun.
For some of these, they even did like fabric swatches, which I thought was really cool.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, so Firefly is really good at making these mood boards. And so yeah, I'm really liking I like both this direction and what we're getting over here. Charm City Hoops. See?
It's also funny. It's like the uh, candid photos of the inner stadium mood board. It combined both having the inner harbor and a stadium, which like the stadium is pretty close to downtown and inner harbor, which is just funny that it brings it
Oh, the Raven
like builds
Stadium?
things. Raven Stadium and
Yes.
Camden Yards, which is also
Oh,
thing, and
there it
also
is.
actually the indoor arena for soccer. It's like all really based downtown, which is really cool because you can go down there and go to the bars, and then you can hop over to a game
Yeah, I love that.
right off the light rail.
That's one of the things about when I worked for the 49ers, our stadium is so far away. It's actually in San Jose. So it's way at the bottom of the bay and not in the downtown area. So there's a
Right.
lot of traveling involved if you live up in the city and want to go check out a game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really
Steven
liking
Overturf is saying the word brick pairs nicely with basketball terminology, but it's more on the negative side.
that's
Which,
very
yes, as
true.
always, you have to come up with the word associations and what people think of, whether it's tied or not tied to what you're actually trying to get at.
Brick
So we're
City.
about halfway through already. I know time's already flying by, and this might feel a little duplicative, but just for people who are just joining, could you reintroduce yourself and just let us know what we're working on?
Yeah, so my name's Brady Patterson. We are building a brand identity from scratch, and we have chosen the Baltimore Blue Crabs as our brand new sports franchise that we are going to be building an identity for. So we have chosen our brand strategy, and we have created some mood boards that we're really liking here. And so now we're going to jump into creating some logos and some colors. And
All right,
so
and so that was we had step one, which what was our step one? It was kind of just identifying a little bit about the city, um,
yeah,
and so what step
step
one?
one was our brand strategy.
We have our goal, our key ideas, and then we moved on to building out mood boards for step two with visual direction, and then from there, where do we go now from here?
Yeah, so now we're going to choose a color palette based on this.
Okay,
So typically, you would actually be drawing out a bunch of logos and experimenting with a bunch of different color palettes, but I only have 30 minutes to win this client. And so we are going to make the most of our time here. And
okay,
I'm really liking some of the blue and orange that we're getting up here.
yeah, me
And
too.
it's differentiated enough from like the New York Knicks as well, especially
Oh, of
this
course.
lighter blue in here. And so we always want to make sure that we're not copying a color scheme from another team in the league. And so I
Especially if
think
they have
we
to go
can
against each other, right?
exactly. And so let's take some of these colors and we're going to build out our color palette from scratch here. And so I'm liking this darker blue along with the lighter shade of blue inside this crab here. And then I like the orange accent color. And typically what we would do is create a lighter shade of this orange. So I like to come in here. Let's get the hex code for this and drop it in. And then I might have to do this manually. Let's see what this ends up looking like. I like something around here for a lighter shade. And then instead of using white, I actually like that they have this cream color.
Yeah, kind of off white,
Yeah, and maybe there's even like
like a super dark blue kind of situation.
like a super dark navy that we would use as kind of our black here.
Which yeah, also kind of works just because there is definitely like a seaport. There's ships always like in the inner harbor. Obviously, blue crabs requires like a marina of some sort. So I think blue, outside of even just crabs, is nice because then it also reflects um, just kind of having that legacy of shipping.
Yeah, so I'm liking this color palette we've come up with. And now our next step is
Also, you
to,
just whipped that out. I just want to make sure that we acknowledge that real quick. Like that is a beautiful palette that you kind of just were like, okay, I'm going to quickly do this, and it looks awesome, and it's got nice range. Do you tend to normally work with like a one super bright, one super dark, and then the rest are ones that you kind of fill in? Is there a path that you take?
yeah, I always focus on the two main colors first,
Hmm.
and then, this navy and the orange, and then come up with our accent colors, which are usually just a little bit lighter shades of those
Yep.
colors. And
Okay.
then, yeah, I typically tend to go with like a white or black or
Yep.
even some grays. But for this city in particular, I think we can use kind of that lighter cream color that kind of looks like parchment.
Yep. Great.
Yeah, so
That's fantastic.
I think our next step here is to generate some logos. So
Brilliant.
typically, this would be a full brand exercise where you would sketch out a bunch of different logo options. But in this case, we're going to say we have to win this client, and we only have 30 minutes to do this. So
Of course.
we're going to use some of these logos that I generated yesterday. Some of these are a little bit more focused on soccer, so you'll see some shields and things here. Um, but
Why
there's
is
also
that?
some
Why
really
are
nice,
soccer so tied with shields?
I'm not sure. Overturf might know. He
Yeah,
uh
yes, it is. Steven,
he was our
do you know
college.
why there's so much? Because yeah, I didn't really even clock it until you mentioned it being like, oh yeah, no, it's kind of close to soccer. But then yeah, you think of like, especially in Europe, there's a lot of shields all for soccer or football, I guess you should say. But
Yeah,
um,
a lot of
it's
those soccer
interesting.
teams have been around forever. And
Yeah,
so they're kind of based on more of the heritage European feel. But yeah, I don't know. A lot of them haven't been updated in God knows how long as well. So
right.
you tend to get logos all over the place when it comes to like European Premier League soccer clubs.
Yep.
But yeah, we have some really nice animal logos that I pulled in from Adobe Stock here. And so what we're gonna do is reset this, and then we're gonna start a new prompt from scratch here. And
Great.
so we are creating a logo for the Baltimore Blue Crab,
The best basketball team on the East Coast.
the greatest basketball team on the East Coast of all time.
Olivia's in the chat saying family crests are very European, so it probably ties to that. Yes, very true. And I
That makes
guess
sense.
European sports are just predominantly football and not much else. So I guess we just associate it because it's European, but it's also just what we're kind of recognized with. Um, yeah, interesting. Basketball hasn't really grown in any other, like at least to the size of NBA anywhere else, right?
Actually, the every Premier League like European club now has a basketball franchise. Basketball
Oh,
is
really?
massive in Europe right now.
I'm just ignorant.
So yeah, Barcelona and Real Madrid and all these big soccer clubs now have a club team for basketball as well. And
Very
so Luka
interesting.
Doncic came up through Real Madrid, and they're drafting guys from. I mean, Europe has taken over the NBA, honestly.
I'd be interested to see how their design approaches change then. If it still aligns like from a naked eye from someone like me, if I would be able to discern between like American branding and European branding for basketball.
You can definitely tell the difference.
Yeah,
They tend to stick with their old logos that they use for soccer, and so
they
they
just
they
repurpose them kind
rarely
of.
update the brand identity. The uniforms are very similar to what they wear in soccer as well, or
That's fun.
football as they call it.
All right, so here though we have you wrote a prompt that says creating a logo for the Baltimore Blue Crabs NBA franchise, navy and orange color palette, and then you used the eye picker tool to be able to select some of the inspiration you have. We have this bulldog, and then you also were able to highlight all of the colors, and then also eyedropper that as part of the source material for this generation, right?
Yeah, and so I think I'm gonna try to crop one of these. I really like this crab that was designed inside of here. And
Yeah,
so we'll see if I do this, if it just uses this crab or if it
if it'll take the whole image or not. Let's see.
actually takes the whole image. Let's
So we're gonna
see.
get rid of that bulldog. We're gonna go in, and it does exactly what you wanted it to do. It takes only the crab source of it. You can see the image source in the bottom.
Nice.
And then also, Frank over in the chat is saying that soccer club logos use a shield shape because it's a modern adaptation of historical coats of arms, which were adopted by early football clubs to project prestige and authority. And you know what? That's how it gets done. Looks like it
Nice.
generated out. We got this really cool forward-facing crab pinching a
Nice.
basketball, um,
This is awesome.
which I'm super impressed with. And then another traditional one of kind of like the back end or top down looking with Baltimore blue crabs.
Yeah, let's enhance this prompt
Also, the
and
speed
see
of your
if it can.
generations is going so fast for some reason. It's like
Yeah, I don't know. I must
it's
have
like
A
boom
plus
done each
Wi-Fi.
time. Okay, there we go. This is a little bit more to what I was anticipating. It's at least just like a few seconds of wait time. But for a second there, it was just like pop, pop, pop. Now you're adding another prompt here to say no basketball. Do you tend to gear towards ones that don't have a visualization of the sport itself?
Yeah. So a lot of NBA teams actually do have a basketball, but I think it's just it can be a little tacky if you include the ball from the sport. So
Mm-hmm. Oh,
we're
the
gonna see
net's a
if we
kind of cool
can.
idea.
Yeah, I like that.
I feel like there's some teams that do that. Incorporate the net.
Ooh, I like this one.
Yeah,
Let's
that's
let's
it's
get some
kind of
more like
flipping out on its
this.
head because they're all blue. You know, we call them blue crabs, and then when you cook them, they all turn red or like an orange, so you can tell that they're cooked. So when you actually have them on the plate in front of you, they're like an orange red. So it's interesting to see that they're using negative space of the blue here to make the blue crab blue, but it also still makes sense with the red of the red crab.
Yeah, let's see if we can get it to make another one like this with the color palette we chose. I'm
Great.
liking this. This is a nice symmetrical logo here. Ooh, this one actually put a basketball in the
Stop.
shell
Okay.
of the crab.
That's insane. But it's also interesting how it's using the breakup of the legs to kind of also mimic the idea of the seams in a basketball, which like
Yeah, that's sick.
it reads over more than you would anticipate. It's doing it
Nice.
quite
I,
again
I like
there.
this one as well. Let's ask the chat. Which one are you guys leaning towards here?
I am definitely feeling. Let's see. Let's see. Is anyone? I guess we can name them. Like, what should we do? Are you also anticipating these top three? Like, are we looking at all nine, or are we just looking at the bottom six?
Yeah, I'm really liking these bottom three, to be honest
The
with you.
bottom three. All right. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna make a very quick poll, and we're gonna try to do this as fast as possible. We're
let's
gonna
do
say
it.
bottom three, and we're gonna say one, two, or three. We're going to start that poll. And if you guys like the one on the far left, vote for one. If you like the one in the middle, vote for two. And if you like for the one on the far right, vote for three. Jacob is saying the one on the bottom left goes pretty hard. Um, Jenna's voting for the third one. So it's a vote for one and three. Reverb Mike is saying it reminds me of Zoidberg from Futurama, which is funny. You just have that crab association in your brain. Um, we've got a vote for 2 from Mike, a vote for 1 from Jenna. So that puts right now 1 in the lead, I believe. Um, we'll give it like another, you know, let's say like 30 seconds. Um, we
Actually,
got
what do these blue
67.
crabs actually look like? Are they actually blue, or did they just have blue spots on them?
No, they're like actually blue until you cook them, and then once you cook them, they turn
Really?
red. But
Oh wow.
yeah, completely unmistakable. They are definitely blue. Um, we got some more votes in both Behance chat and the YouTube chat. But yeah, give it like 10 more seconds. Put in your votes if you want. It's looking like number 1 is going to be the one that we have as our winner,
Number
but
one.
unless there's a mad dash at the very end here um, to vote otherwise, then we'll see. Oh, here comes a little bit of the mad dash. There's some moving around in the poll. I don't know if people are like switching their votes or not, but let's see. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna end the poll. And it looks like our winner is gonna be number 1. So thank you everyone for
Nice.
voting. Appreciate it. 60% of the vote goes to number 1. So
A
got the
runaway
majority.
winner. Yeah, so let's see if we can make this crowd a little bit more blue here. Okay.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, it got real blue real quick.
Yeah, we lost the basketball inside of it, but yeah, I'm liking how this is turning out. So our next step is going to be choosing typography, which we'll do manually here. Um, typically we would take this into Illustrator, and um, even before this, we would probably come up with a bunch of different iterations, hand drawn, to explore some different variations of this. But we
Mm-hmm.
are strapped for time today, and
Yeah,
so yeah, I'm liking this one right here with the orange outline. And so I think we'll take this
it's a nice highlight.
as our winner here. We
It is
made
funny.
it
The
blue.
accents on the back of the shell like are both giving kind of like nostrils, but also kind of giving like lines in the back.
Yeah.
Just kind of funny.
So we're gonna create this primary logo now. And so we're gonna take this as our icon, and then we're gonna choose from some different fonts that I've saved out here. I chose a bunch of different types of fonts so that we would have a different some different choices here. And
Great.
so I'm really liking this script font. This is actually called Mascot. I think this is
Mascot.
giving like a kind of a heritage Baltimore type of vibe. There's also
Absolutely.
a couple different iterations of this. Some of these have like a rough feeling on the inside. And so maybe we'll take something like this. Let's grab our color palette and pull this over so we can
And so when you're
start
normally
building out this
approaching a word
logo.
mark, are you normally so you like obviously you have this kind of list of different ones. So are you always starting with this selection and then going from there, or do you kind of approach collecting fonts for each one individually?
So I actually have a board where I make all my font files. And
Mm-hmm.
so every single carousel that I've ever made with fonts, I have them all on one board. And I'll go through and I kind of have them grouped by like sporty fonts or fashion fonts. And so I'll kind of scroll through there and try to choose the best options. And then sometimes I'll go to Adobe Fonts and try to find something that fits a little bit better.
Okay.
um, but yeah, I've been playing around with fonts for so long. Nowadays, I just kind of have them memorized. It's like a weird thing with my brain. I remember all the names of these fonts. And so I'm really liking this kind of slab serif font here.
Factoria. Yeah, Baltimore looks really nice actually in that. Reverb Mike is double tapping on the blue crabs and says it's kind of like purple potatoes that look like ordinary potatoes after you cook them. Which
Mm,
the more you know.
yeah, you know what? I feel like this works better for maybe a secondary logo. I think we're going to need something a little bit different for our
For
main
our
logo
primary
here. And so maybe let's try something with an extended font,
with shuttle block.
Shuttle Block. I love Shuttle Block because it has both condensed and extended variations.
Nice.
And so,
So it can really adapt to whatever you need it to be used for.
yeah,
Wow, look at that. That's pretty cool. Gives it
yeah,
a different vibe.
yeah,
There's a lot of like repurposed like bread factories and other factories downtown. So I feel like you see a lot of uh, similar blocky serif fonts like this, or sans serif fonts. And so I think these are also very reminiscent of the area as well.
yeah, that makes sense. I've seen a lot of the more vintage places downtown, but
Yeah.
I really need to go back and explore Baltimore a little bit, especially now that we've branded an NBA team for them.
Yeah, you got to go bring the team over.
Yeah.
That looks great.
So I'm uh I'm liking that as kind of the primary logo. Now let's go build
So
out
you've
kind of
developed as for the brand identity. You've developed a primary logo, which would be used predominantly for the main hero images when you're like maybe putting it on the big screen, or maybe on like the jerseys or like tickets. But when would you use a secondary logo, and how do you kind of come about that to make sure that it still references the primary?
yeah, so every sport's a little bit different. A lot of times what they'll do is actually create this in kind of a badge type of design.
Okay.
And so especially with basketball, they do this a lot where they will kind of wrap the logo around. Let's remove the background here and just
The
get our crab.
click of a button. And they just it makes it more flexible for being able to be put in different places, right? Like I guess they could make this as a patch, or they could even put this like on a cup when you're at concessions and you're getting a drink. Just makes it a little bit easier to have things move around.
Yeah, so we'll kind of create our little badge here. We'll see if we can actually wrap our text around these circles. Let's align these to center.
Boom. You guys can also see that when he's selecting that crab there, it's also popping up with the content credentials on the top right, which at any point he can hover over and it'll show that it was generated and what it was generated using which model, so that there is information about the AI usage, which is nice to see.
Yeah. Well, let's actually see if we can take this, group it, and then generate an image. Use this as our reference. Oh, not.
You might have to like screenshot it and paste it back in.
Yeah, we might have to do that. Let's see. Boom.
See? Easy fix.
So let's take this and then we'll say
And Baltimore blue crabs
around the
around the
circle.
circle. And this is once again with Gemini 3, Nano Banana. Adding prompts like this with Gemini in particular does well with directions like add and around the circle. I feel like tend to yield good results.
So let's see what this turns out as. In
I think this is
reality,
also in reality we'd have what?
we would probably have a different logo for this.
Mm-hmm.
We probably have a more simplified logo, or even maybe something that like just features the pinchers or something like that
Yeah, that makes sense. Just like a big
as your
claw that comes
secondary
out.
logo. But yeah,
But like we said, we're on a sprint. The client needs to get it ready for print by the end of the day, and they reached out to us this morning. So just a multi-million-dollar basketball brand, but
they
you know they need the design in a day. So we're gonna go from there.
need it ASAP.
Now you updated some of the terminology in the prompt to say all the way around for the circle. That way, it gives a little bit more direction in the idea of how it's going to generate the text. But one thing that is notable here is that for a lot of the ones that you've done, um, it has understood to have Baltimore like properly spelled and everything. We have like a weird blur here for Baltimore blue crabs
Blur.
and bluey crabs, but I think this is kind of just an example of where I would personally be using Firefly boards, and it's just
Oh,
kind
there we
of
go.
work along your process and kind of like showing your work as far as like when you do your math homework. That this could all be things that you could then go and use as inspiration and bring it into your own workflow. Um, so everything to be taken with a grain of salt.
Yeah, so let's see if we can get an actual secondary logo here and just have a kind of a picture with the basketball. And then we're
That
going to
sounds great.
jump into some uniform designs right after this.
All right, we're gonna do that as a sprint because we only got about like 4 or so minutes left. Um, but like I said, we've got a stingy client.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, how cute!
That's almost
Although I guess
there.
sports teams don't like to hear cute. How cool? How sick? Although actually Gen Z
Amazing.
also doesn't like sick, so I'm just failing left and right here. Apparently, sick is like the new groovy. Like it shows your age very quickly if you say sick, and I say sick all the time. So you know, take that as you will. So we have our primary
So let's,
logo, we have our secondary logo. Now we're moving over to step 7, which is our uniforms.
yeah, so now we're going to take this primary logo and
Create a basketball uniform featuring this logo in the center of the jersey, front and back, which is an exciting approach.
yeah, so let's try to enhance this prompt. See if we can't get something a little bit better.
Reverb Mike says, "Down with the sickness." Also, thank you, Jacob, for putting the Instagram for Brady in the chat. Once again, that's instagram.com/design by Brady with underscores in between. We immediately get this great uniform with cool orange sides and the crab in the corner and on the front.
Nice, I'm liking it. We're getting
Also got
some
our
different
away uniform,
variations here.
some variants. It's also interesting how it's like switching the lighting too. Like you have, one that looks like it might be in like a video game or like a pre-roll, and then other ones that look like a catalog where you'd be buying it. I like the blue crabs on the side here and the shorts. That's fun.
Yeah, I like that.
Also, man, you really popped off in this prompt. It's
Oh, this
got
is I enhanced the prompt, so it rewrote it for me. I'm gonna try to get something a little bit more minimal here.
all right, and adding minimal to it. See how that adjusts it. Reverb Mike says also don't forget the socks. Which, hey,
Oh
that's
yeah.
that's up to the players. Oh, it's not on us. They're crabby socks. Oh no, oh agency is saying, where do I get one of these jerseys? We'll sell them to you for a million
Shout out to
dollars.
Evan.
Welcome to the chat. Good to have you here.
Yeah.
We
Now
are just
we're
about
starting to
wrapping
look like
up
a
here, but yeah, it's starting to really look like it's coming together, which is nice.
yeah. These are looking a little more like an AAU team, but we'll go back to the original and try to create an away jersey here.
Cool.
Oh yeah, we need our cream here.
All right. We are just about at time though. So how are we looking with what is step 8 again?
What was that?
What is our step 8? I just want to make we have about a minute left, so I just want to make sure
Yeah,
we get a
so
little something
step
here
eight was
for
really just our brand mockups over here. So here's our away jersey kind of
oh
coming
nice.
together. Yeah, and let's do a
Stadium
stadium mockup with
mockups.
a promo banner in Baltimore.
Brilliant. Love it. Jacob is saying we might get cut off on Behance, but thanks for watching the stream, guys. Yes, of course, we might get cut off on Behance, but you guys can catch the last minute or two over here on YouTube. So make sure you hop over on YouTube. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to give a thumbs up. Right after this, we have Magdiel Lopez coming on with On the Spot. You might have caught some of his other videos on Twitch, but this time it's over on YouTube. So we hope that you guys stick around. For our Behance users, it will kick you over there in just a minute. But YouTube, you'll be able to see at least the end of this before we then switch on over. And this is looking great. It looks like it's definitely on like Camden Yards, which is funny and great,
Yeah,
and I love it. But
definitely a outdoor baseball
definitely outdoor.
stadium, but that
Yes.
works.
Okay. Or
It
Hill
literally
Park,
says
Camden
Camden Yards
Yards,
here. Yeah,
Baltimore Blue Crabs. So it's during the off season, I guess, right? Like
yeah, a little outdoor
they share a
basketball.
space. Yeah, which I love. Um, But great. Okay. So since we're just going to be wrapping up real quick, I just want to say thanks again for joining us. We made the Baltimore Blue Crabs. We went through this 8-step process and we started with identifying the look of the city with key ideas, goals, and team name ideas, and then brought it through a mood board, color palette, all then over to some logo exploration. We did some uniforms, and I think it turned out really great.
Yeah, it's definitely coming together. I appreciate you guys having me here today, and I'm
Yeah.
definitely looking forward to experimenting with Adobe Firefly some more.
Sounds great. Well, thank you again for joining us, Brady. It was great having you. Thanks for walking us through this. And we will see you guys all over on the spot with Magdiel Lopez in just a minute. See you in a second. Thanks.